The lantern parade starts in the playground, and when all the children that stay after school come with their lanterns and with their family and friends.
And then when the drums start, everybody just starts moving, and it's kind of like a snake of people. It's really fun. You're carrying the lantern that you made yourself. Sometimes you're carrying some of the big lanterns, and yeah, it's really fun.
Herbert the Turbot is made of bamboo inside, and it's covered in tissue paper. Its tail is pretty big. There are 2 sticks in the middle for you to support it, and there's 1 stick at the front so you can move its mouth, and it kind of looks like it's swallowing you if you look at it.
When we started this academic year, and I realised that because of the COVID situation, the Lantern Parade would be very unlikely if it happened. I was massively disappointed at first because it was just another thing that you couldn't do. It's nice to be able to actually walk the route that we would have done if we were doing it in the before times. It's a little reminder of what we missed.
Drumworks has been part of the Lantern Parade over the past couple of years, and I've taken part in it personally twice, and we are definitely the loudest group that take part in the Lantern Parade. We make a heck of a lot of noise. Our drumming style, I guess because we play samba drums, you could say it's sort of derived from samba drumming, but we write all of our own beats, and they're mostly based around like the music that we listen to. So for the most part, growing up in East London, we'll be playing either hip hop or grime music. It's lovely to always see like passers-by and their completely shocked faces when there's these massive drums like in the middle of the city, because it's not something that you expect to see or hear every day, and I guess that's kind of nice. Like, expect the unexpected. Like, you're not going to get a massive samba band walking around Aldgate every day, are ya?
My name is Tim Figures, and I've been a resident in Aldgate for 15 years. Well, I live very close to the start and finish of the parade, and I heard it before I saw it the first time with the marvellous drummers drumming away and getting everyone, particularly the children, excited about the parade before they set off. So it's great to be part of something that keeps the community spirit in the events programme in Aldgate carrying on. Sad that it's been limited for over a year by the pandemic, but this is a good example of the community and other groups pulling together to make sure our area is celebrated.
My name's Barbara. I was born in Whitechapel. I've lived locally all my life, and one of the main things in my life was coming up to Aldgate to the market to get a bit of shopping. I even worked there. I'm a keen photographer, and most of my photos was down the market, taking pictures of stall holders, people buying stuff. I suppose now they call it street photography. When I was a kid, I used to go swimming in Galston Street baths, but even now in Galston Street, 60 odd years later, I go to a fish and chip restaurant called Happy Days. I absolutely love that place. I first heard about the Lantern Parade through my friend who works in one of the local schools, and I just think it's great for everyone to do something to celebrate, and let's make the best of these not very good times. So I'm quite looking forward to joining in. Plus I like holding the lantern.
Aldgate area is very, very special, that it has been an welcoming space for the newcomers. My name is Shamim Azad. I actually read and performed poetry, gave talks, and worked as a freelance poet in various places in and around Aldgate. I lived near the Petticoat Lane Market in a heritage building called Merchant House at Goldstone Street. I feel like I have got my footmarks over there. This is an excerpt from my poem titled as He Came Across 13 Rivers. He used to cook tea with loads of sugar, loved to watch wrestling at the Albert Hall, lightnings in Trafalgar Square. He liked Bangladeshi baul songs from his old tape recorder. And he was good at cooking curry with finely chopped onions with fresh coriander.
My name's Nibras Haider, born and raised in this area. When I was young, I went to Cannon Barnett School. I also was lucky enough to have a store within the area. So the history of classic shoes, founded by my father. He's still around, God bless him. He's opened up the store. Since I was young, I've been coming here, and now it's our turn to bring it up and hopefully take it to its next steps. Luckily, I was able to grab a lantern, and why I displayed it at the front of my window is just to be a part of such a special parade. Also put up awareness of Paycott Lane Market in itself and the history that it has. It was one of the first markets in the whole of London, and it will be a shame to see it lose its history. It will be a shame to see it lose itself. So it's just about grabbing as much awareness as we can, just to bring that vibe back into the market, I guess.
Holding this lantern today for me represents all the vulnerable young women that chose to commit to their healing and becoming their best version. So my name is Brooke Morgan, and my connection to Aldgate is via the work that I do with my community interest company, SheO. What we do is focus on instilling authentic confidence into vulnerable young women. I think for me, Aldgate is a full circle. So when I was 16, I became homeless. I transitioned out of Centrepoint, which is my supported accommodation, and then got my own property and landed a job back in Centrepoint head office. And Centrepoint's in Aldgate. But while I was working in Centrepoint, I met Toynbee Hall, and Toynbee Hall has really supported SheO so much, from a business perspective to actually providing us with some of our beneficiaries who are actually in Aldgate as well. So yeah, full circle. And I think everybody that's been through something and has had support should support others, because that's the way I believe you create a healthy society.
My name's Stephen. I'm a gardener. I used to work as a gardener at Toynbee Hall, and I went back to Toynbee Hall recently for the first time in a good number of years. I found a lot of pots and pans, a couple of old sinks, which were filled with herbs. There were a few flowering plants, some daffodils, those sorts of things. It reminded me of the way that the place had been run, the spirit of the place. So my connections with the area are pretty strong, and were very strong back in the 1980s. I was part of a lesbian and gay group. We marched with the Lesbians and Gays Support the Miners on the 50th anniversary of the Battle of Cable Street. After having looked around Toynbee Hall itself, I thought I'd take a look down Gunthorpe Street, which is a street I knew many years ago. So I went to the back of Toynbee Hall and looked along there, and was pleased to see a whole collection of wild plants that were growing amongst the cobbles. One of the standout plants was shepherd's purse, Capsella bursa pastoris. It flowers and shows its seed pods at the same time, but the seed pods are shaped like little hearts. So the weeds, those wild plants, show us that nature's all around. Slow down enough to take a little bit of time and look at things, and you can find a whole world of beauty just in those weeds that are growing in the street.
So how to make lanterns? Like you need sticks, glue, masking tape, paper, pencils, scissors. Yeah, that's it. I want more people to come and join the lantern parade from other schools. I want more people to have excitement, having a good time after COVID, and really having a fun time with other people.
One of the highlights for me taking part in the lantern parade was that how magical it actually looked. It was all at night, and all the night lights set inside the lanterns just gave off this beautiful vibrance. And I particularly remember office workers coming to the windows in all the tall tower blocks and the skyscrapers, even the Gherkin, and actually looking at us and just waving and cheering. So it wasn't just about the joy that we felt when we was there, it was really lovely knowing the joy that we had spread throughout that whole of the area.
My name is Vivi Lax. I'm a historian of the Jewish East End and a writer. And one of the things I've written about are parades, or union parades and parades that happened here in Aldgate. And it comes up in the book that I've written about it, and it's called Whitechapel Noise. And it's looking at the songs that were sung on those parades, and by Morris Winchevsky, who was called the grandfather of Jewish socialism, and getting everybody onto the street. A line of his song goes, "In die Gassen zu die Massen," into the streets from the masses. And on the streets, what were they doing? They were parading. I'm shielding because I'm a carer, so I couldn't be at the lantern parade in person, but I brought my own lantern because I'm with you in spirit.
Hi, I'm Iko. My Chinese name pronounced as Yi Gong Zhang. Actually, Iko is just my nickname. I work as an urban designer, and our office is located in the Whitechapel building on Whitechapel High Street. I first got involved in the event, helping them thinking about how to make the event more green. And one of the ideas came to mind is why not we use materials that are considered as waste from our office. So today I'm holding this little lantern, which is made out of the same milk bottle material as the one we made for the event, and walking with it now on the streets of Aldgate. It just brings me back to that moment during the event that we are with so many people and so many kids and so many residents, and everyone was so happy to be together on the streets.
My name's David Charnick. I'm a qualified City of London tour guide. You can see history and stories everywhere. There are little signs of people doing things. London is an ongoing story, and you can read it if you look around carefully. Aldgate's called Aldgate because there was one of the gates in the Roman city wall here. If we look at the lantern parade through the eyes of history, we can see how it picks up on previous stories. One time people came through the Aldgate area brandishing their weapons in the Peasants' Revolt. Nowadays, the lantern parade walks through carrying its lanterns, celebrating the nature of the area, but also echoing its past.
At the end, I feel totally relieved because it's like a massive amount of effort that goes into it, but you also at the same time get a great sense of accomplishment.
You've finished the lantern, you've got to do what you wanted to do from the start, which is parade it around. You got to see other people's lanterns, and it feels really good that you've done all that, but it's also kind of sad because it's over.
I'm going to be in secondary school next year. I do plan on coming back to this school to take part in the lantern parade because I'm going to have new friends, so I can bring them and then they can take part in the lantern parade as well.
You feel proud of your school and your community in the lantern parade because we did it.